house where George Washington actually slept. 200 years ago, it was full of colonial soldiers. If only those walls could talk.
Well, I can. I want to go back to town.
Oh, Bill.
One of my favorite movies as a kid was George Washington Slept Here. But did George Washington actually sleep anywhere in Bucks County? Let's talk about that. Let's start with Summerseat, Lower Bucks County. December 8th to December 14th, this is where George Washington makes his headquarters. This is where George Washington sends out the orders to seize all the boats along the Delaware River in Bucks County so that the British can't take them and invade Bucks County, chase him through there. For the most part, we know George Washington would actually set up his camp or his tent on your front lawn, and he would come into your house for meals only. These houses that he selected, by today's means, are not huge mansions. Back then, they were considered large houses, but there really wasn't enough space for George Washington and all his aides to camp out in them. So he's actually camped out on your front lawn. George Washington's always on the move, though. So starting on December 15th, he's at the Keith House in Upper Makefield. He makes this his headquarters. This is where he starts to plan the crossing of the Delaware River, attacking the Hessians on Christmas, December of 1776. George Washington makes the Harris home, here in Newtown, his headquarters. It is from here he writes some famous correspondence to the Continental Congress and other founding fathers, giving them the exciting news of the victory on Christmas at the Battle of Trenton. Can you visit the site of George Washington's headquarters in Newtown after the Battle of Trenton? You sure can, and you can get a full tank of gas there as well. In August 1777, George Washington stops here with all of his troops for 2 weeks and stays at the Moland house in Warwick because he doesn't know where the British are headed to. So in the summer of 1778, the British have occupied Philadelphia since 1777. They suddenly abandon it. George Washington's at Valley Forge. He receives word. They immediately pack up and they head towards New Jersey to pick a fight with the British. On June 20th, George Washington arrives in Doylestown. It's raining. Some of his army continues on, crosses the Delaware River. George Washington makes his headquarters here in Doylestown at the Jonathan Fell House, which, remarkably, part of it is still standing behind me. So how do we know this is the place where George Washington made his headquarters in June 20th, 1778? Well, we have documentation. We can look in George Washington's account book. We see him paying Jonathan Fell for dinner and breakfast for himself and his aides who are encamped here on the front lawn. George Washington would have laid out his marquee and tents around it. They would have all camped out there and then gone in the house for meals. But there's even more remarkable evidence that George Washington was here. To see that, let's go this way. So according to research, this house was built prior to the Revolutionary War by John Fell. His son Jonathan Fell then lived here during the Revolution. And if we look close, the writing's literally on the walls. There's JF for John Fell, builder of this house.
I'm honestly shocked. Like, of all the living rooms in the country, he would visit here. I'm usually playing video games here, but back in the 1700s, he would be looking out that window and he'd see his soldiers just on the lawn.